Getting ready to step into your career era? Set yourself apart with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Hone your skills with apps like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and more, powered with the latest in creative AI. Students save over 55% so you can build a portfolio you're proud of. Launch your future with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Visit adobe.com/students to learn more.
Podcast where everyone is welcome at the table, but of course, no one knows whose turn it is. This is Chris.
This is Erin.
And this is episode 542, our friends' favorite female design games. We like to thank all our Patreon backers for helping us unlock a brand new episode. Welcome back, friends. We're so glad that you are here to join us with Erin from Board Games for the Better. Erin, thank you so much for joining us. We've met Chris, and now we get to have you here.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, it's really a great opportunity because you do a lot of work in tabletop gaming, introducing new and underserved communities into the vast, wonderful world of tabletop gaming and all the benefits that it provides. And you and I have done a lot of projects and events together, including a very cool event. It seems like yesterday, but it was a couple of years back.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 years now. Yeah,
it's crazy. I think is it just 2 years? Wow, yeah.
You think it's more?
I don't remember. Like it's that COVID time period where everything was. It's at least it's about 2 years ago when we did an event for the Girl Scout Troop 9,000.
I think 6,000. Yeah,
6,000. We raised them 3,000 after that.
Exactly.
That was over 9,000. Yeah. We did for all of those female and female presenting leaders in all of the, I'm going to say, in the homeless shelter system. And we brought them out to New Jersey, and we brought Board Games for the Better to do our first collaborative event together because they're awesome and they know how to serve communities.
It was, yeah. And I think that we all came together and did a great job with welcoming them and just allowing them a space to learn new games, and they even went home with a bunch of new games that were donated to us by different companies. I believe they were all female designed games as well.
They were,
which ties into today's theme. So
yeah, no, thank you, Erin, for bringing the theme. We've been talking about this for quite some time. We're so glad to have you here because, again, as we serve underrepresented communities out there in the world, we also want to celebrate the typically under-celebrated designers, publishers, artists, writers that create these wonderful tabletop gamings that allow us to connect with other people in other communities.
And I think it's really important to open up a space for people to feel welcome in this kind of environment and in this hobby. And not only is that through the players themselves, but also through game design and encouraging people to kind of get into this field that maybe is dominated by a specific demographic already, but that, we have that space. Yeah, I think it's a very important, and that's in a lot of different areas, not just tabletop gaming.
No, it's not. And it's a constant battle against the patriarchy and the mindset that we all kind of inhabit because of that. But I think if you put a game on the table, it allows for an opening and hopefully allows for other seats to be open so that we can all enjoy the game together. And that's what I think you and I have found with tabletop gaming. But obviously, you've worked with so many different types of communities and so many different places. Can you tell us a little bit about the different events and programs you've done?
Yeah. So we've been with Board Games for the Better. My husband, Chris, and I, he's been on the podcast before, we've been working on just trying to make gaming more accessible to more and more people, different communities, people who don't necessarily have access already. And we try to just give them that access, either by donating games to them that they maybe don't have the money to purchase for themselves or don't really know what would work for them and their family, or by kind of having this space for them to try out different games at some of our game days that we've done. So we have donated to a bunch of different organizations that really help and serve all of these different types of communities, including, I mean, I think one of the biggest ones is foster care. So children and families who are in the foster care system, and just how games can help people come together in a situation which is maybe less than ideal, a situation where someone comes into a new home and feels like they're kind of out of place. And if they have a game to come in and teach to this new family or this new group of people that they're with, they have that kind of opportunity to share something with them that they have of their own. So we try to give these kids like something that they can bring with them, and also to foster this kind of community and this space that they can all play together, and take their minds off of things. Even some of the games at the foster care programs that we've donated to, Chris may have mentioned this in the past, but they've used the games with the social worker to try and, see the families as they're trying to kind of reunite families together, see them engage in a game and deal with the winning and the losing and things like that. And I think that that's a really cool way that tabletop gaming has been able to be implemented into some of these situations. We've also done a lot of work and game days with elderly populations, people who are in assisted living facilities, and seeing the benefits that, if you have a group of people who are in a memory care facility, and going in and really getting to play some games, usually very simple games, but ones that they can get into, and you see the brightness of their faces and, their eyes light up, because a lot of the time when if they're not stimulated by something, they just kind of sit there and they get lost, they get confused. So having something to take their minds off of something, or to allow them to channel whatever it is they're feeling through a game, has been a really cool thing to see. It's funny because sometimes, I remember going to a memory care facility and playing a game called Tumbling Dice.
Yes.
And it's really just like, you're rolling dice or flicking dice down this little ladder, or I guess like staircase of points. And every time it would come around to one lady, she would tell me like, oh, how do I play this? And so I would tell her, just, roll the dice down the staircase. And then I would tally up her points and say, oh, look, you did so great. You got 30 points here. And she'd be like, wow, this is my first time playing, but we'd already played 6 games already. It was very sweet and very just kind of, for some people, maybe that affects them negatively, because it is something that it has a sadness to it as well. But knowing that she got so excited every time it came to her turn. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot right now.
No, you're not. I think these are really extremely important stories. And I know that you have so many of these stories. I know we talked to Chris a little bit about this, but I mean, you could write a book with all the different stories and comments and, feedback. I remember we did the event with the Girl Scout troop. So many of those girls were just amazed that here are games from female designers. They didn't even know those games existed, because again, most of the general American population are just very familiar with mass production tabletop games with no designer names whatsoever. And especially no female designer games or artists or writers or anything like that. So they didn't see themselves represented, didn't understand that they could do that as a designer, and didn't understand that there was just incredible works of art and artisans out there. And then obviously playing the games that were very representative of all these wonderful and beautiful, powerful figures. And we'll talk a little bit more about the games later. But I remember you and Chris telling me about the stories you had as you're playing with the young ladies there.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many, right, over the years. I mean, we've only been doing this since 2022, but still 3.5 years at this point, of really engaging with a lot of communities that I never had the opportunity to engage with, and seeing that gaming and board gaming can really bring so many different things out of people.
Yes.
Depending on their situation. And, you might have I think even for the Girl Scouts event, the group of Girl Scouts that came out were a little bit hesitant when we invited them, just because they had never really been invited to something like this. And they felt a little bit like, not necessarily uncomfortable, but this like I mean, I guess still, yeah, discomfort with
Yeah.
going to a new place to see new people and not knowing what exactly we were going to be doing. They're like thinking games, like we're going out all this way to go play Monopoly,
Yeah.
and but it was nice because we had so many volunteers there that were willing to teach different games. I think I was teaching girls how to solve the Rubik's Cube,
Sure.
and we had people playing another game we'll talk about later, Her Story. And just it was nice to see them and the smiles on their faces and the way that they were when they left. They said, we really didn't know what we were walking into here, and we were a little nervous and we were a little doubtful about how this would end up being, but they left really just ecstatic about how everything went and how much fun they had. And I think we really opened up this kind of new world to a lot of them. And that happens with anyone you really introduce gaming to, because I feel like so many people, even when they talk about me, Chris and I, they always say, I always learn new games every time I see you. And so a lot of people just don't have access to it or don't even have knowledge about it being there until someone introduces it. So it's nice to do that for these communities that are maybe not so well served.
Absolutely. And just to let everybody know, we talked about this earlier. We don't really come back to it too often, but I think this is really a poignant part. Board Game Academics, Erin, you know about this because you're on our board. And our third annual conference, where you get to discover the serious side of fun at our annual conference happening at the Strong National Museum of Play, is literally all about this. So we have 16 presentations, not counting all the different panels, not counting the keynote speakers, not counting all the people that are doing game demos on tabletop gaming. All of those presentations, all of those speakers, all of those panels, all of the game demoing they get to do, and including the museum itself, is all about one thing. It's about reaching out and connecting and providing an invaluable experience to so many people out there. And just like the work that you're doing, Erin, there's so many practitioners out there, like you said, that are using games for counseling or social work or medical OT kind of work or educating. And again, about building communities and helping people see themselves and see themselves representative or see themselves in a different way that they never thought was possible. And it's revolutionary. And yet it's been with us the entire time. So it's so wonderful the work that you do to reintroduce that again to populations that may not have access to it. And I think we take for granted the privilege that we have to play all these wonderful games. And I think there's more to unlock with that. So we really hope that everyone attends the conference. You can go to boardgameacademics.com and learn more. And please do attend the conference. It's a wonderful opportunity to meet everyone that you've met on this podcast at this point. And as Erin was saying, please go to Board Games for the Better, boardgamesforthebetter.org, where you can donate games, or you can find about all their games and programs and activities. So you can actually attend those events, meet Chris and Erin and their wonderful team, and see about all the good that they do in the world. Because you love tabletop gaming, like you're the choir. We're just trying to get you to sing a little bit and get on board.
Yeah, and the more people we have at these kinds of events that already see and value board games and how much they've changed their lives, I feel like that really helps other people come in and join in on the fun.
100%. It's really wonderful activity. You know this. Just we want more people to know this. We want more people to listen. We want more people to attend so that we have more chairs out there. Again, as I always say, make it a very selfish situation. More people play tabletop games, the more people who come to your game night, the more games you get played. The more
game meetups are happening around, and
and you won't be so anonymous because everyone plays tabletop games, right? We're always finding random people in our industries outside of tabletop gaming, and we're just like, yes, I think the spreadsheets are fantastic. It reminds me of this Brass Birmingham game. You play Brass Birmingham? Yes, I play Brass Birmingham. Oh no, we're best friends forever now. So those things happen every day. So again, spread the good, spread the love, share games with other people, and connect with everyone out there. It's really a wonderful opportunity for success. All right, Erin, with that said, let's get on to the episode. Let's start off with rolling for preview here. So Erin, have you ever played Brass Birmingham or Brass Lancashire?
I have. I played Brass Birmingham before,
okay, so you played the best version of it. Back in the day, I played the original Brass, and it was the I don't know. I have an adjective here. I don't want. It was the worst version of a production of a game that I've ever seen. Like,
oh no,
oh, it was so bad. And our friend Dave was like, "You got to play this game." And I was like, "Oh no, it's terrible. The board is blank and terrible, and the little chits are these little plastic things that fell out of, like, I don't know, off of some production line, like leftover chits from a garbage that they were recycling. Like, it looked like it was a terrible production." And it was a very complicated game for me because I came from a Euro gamer perspective where when you do in a Euro game is you build a thing. And the tricky thing you don't realize is you typically are building a thing, Erin, because it's your thing. Then you play Brass. And Brass is like, cool, you built that thing so that you could do other things. I'm going to use it. And you're like, oh no, other people are using my things. And that's when you learn that there is other types of Euro games like Brass and like Trois and other games out there where you're just building things so that other people can use things. Keyflower, I think, is one of those too, where you have this terrible realization that all the work that you put into it is someone else is taking advantage of it. But not to worry, you get to do other things. So Brass is always about, all the trains and the transportation of coal and iron, and in Birmingham there's also beer. And also those resources allow you to build up your industries throughout the game. And you have all these different capitalists. And again, it was set in Britain. And you're building all that stuff. And it's surprisingly one of the greatest games out there of that type. In fact, it's the #1 game on Board Game Geek, Erin. I don't know if you knew that.
I do know. Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah, everyone knows that at this point. So I think also in part because they came out with those iron clay tokens.
Yeah.
Did you back it on Kickstarter?
No, we didn't. Chris was really trying to find a copy with the iron, with the clay tokens later on. We were not successful.
Same here. I was not successful either because I had such a bad experience with the first game. I was like, I want no part of this. I've since purchased the iron clays, but I still don't have a copy of Brass. So
you just have the tokens.
I just have but I use them for other games.
They can still be used. Yeah,
they're very good quality, and that kind of blew up. That became #1, and I'm really happy about it because again, it's one of those things where it's like it's such a weird, heavy, crunchy Euro game. I'm still amazed that it's #1 game on BGG, but now guess what? There's another version, Erin.
Of course there is. They have to keep making money.
So Martin Wallace, who's the genius behind Brass, he is in part introducing Brass Pittsburgh.
Yeah, now an American one.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
So again, this is really interesting. This is led by Gavin Brown as co-designer here. And I used to live in Pittsburgh way back in the day when I was in graduate school. And I'll tell you, coming from New York City and moving to Pittsburgh, Erin, I was like, you call this a city? And because they used to call it a city. And after living there a couple of years, I'm like, I love this city. Like, I sincerely do love Pittsburgh. Yeah, I know. I'm really surprised. So all of you yins out there, I have only love for Pittsburgh. I got to tell you, it's a weird thing from a New York City boy coming to Pittsburgh, and it's great. But a lot of Pittsburgh, again, Steel Town, Steelers out there, really the town was built on, steel and the transportation of all those kind of raw earth elements. So this goes back to the 19th century, the Steel Belt area of the Northeast. And basically you're doing the same kind of thing. You're a capitalist kind of building up the infrastructure, building up transportation, and you're trying to ship goods. And we don't know much more beyond that at this point. So there's been some information as far as like you could be a Vanderbilt, you could be a Carnegie, a Rockefeller, or a Frick, and you're doing somewhat of the same stuff that you've done before. But right now it's still just kind of in like early discussions because this will be coming out, I believe it's in 2026, early in 2026 to GameFound. So you'll have another opportunity to back another Brass game. It's, again, very little information about it. It seems to be somewhat of a similar game setup as far as like if you played Brass, then you'll get this game completely. But it's a little more, according to the designer here, it's minimized a little bit more. it's not as painful as far as like you made a wrong choice, like you're going to pay for that for the entire game.
Okay, that's good because that's something we experienced in Brass.
Yeah, and supposedly it's supposed to help with some of the AP because if you ever play Brass, like you could build like 4 or 5 different things, and you're just like, I don't know what to build because again, you're benefiting off other people using your stuff. So now you have to be like, I could build these 5 things, but are the 3 other people at the table going to use them? So I have to think about their actions as well. So it certainly could be a heavy AP thing. So I'm pretty excited about this. I might actually buy a Brass game because like
finally
my friends have all the Brass games, so I don't feel like I need to purchase the other ones. Although Birmingham is my favorite. This will be launching in 2026. We'll get to see, I guess, as we get closer, the game developments and other things that'll be happening. But yeah, so Brass Pittsburgh, we're looking forward to it. It's a fun little update to Brass.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's what's happening on our preview, Erin. Let's get on to our roll for review. What did you play this week?
I played a trick-taking game called Rebel Princess.
Ooh.
And this is a game that we picked up last December at PAX Unplugged. It was originally published by Zombie Paella, which is a Spanish company, and my husband Chris is also Spanish. His family is from Spain. His family's from Spain. And yeah, so we picked it up because Chris had heard all about it. We love trick-taking games. We play so many different ones. I especially like co-op trick-taking games. I think there's a really cool element to trying to communicate based on what you're playing. But sometimes counter-operative is also fun to play, and it's fun to beat people and to win a game. Yes. So Rebel Princess, I really love the theming of this game. I think that it has this idea of turning this fairy tale princesses wanting their Prince Charming kind of over on its head.
Yes.
And it's actually about princesses avoiding proposals from princes. And so you want to win tricks that do not have princes, but you definitely want to lose tricks that do have princes. Princes are a specific suit in this game. And so the princes each have a little proposal symbol, and at the end of the round, you'll count all the proposal symbols that you have won through all the tricks, and then you'll get that many points. But the aim of the game is to have the fewest points, to have the fewest proposals. There is one card in another suit called the Animal suit, and that one, there is a card called the Frog, and that I believe is the 8 of animals, the green card. And that one is a Frog Prince, and the Frog Prince actually counts as 5 proposals because he really wants a princess so that he can turn back into a prince. So you really don't want to win the frog. The only time you would want to win the frog is if you win every single card that has a proposal on it, and that is called Rebel of the Ball. Ooh. And that's where you end up winning. So you win all the cards that no one wants.
Yes.
And then you end up getting -10 proposals for doing that.
It's like Shoot the Moon in Hearts.
Exactly. Yeah, it has that kind of, that way if you are there, everyone's throwing all of the tricks to you and you keep winning all these prince cards, but then if you're able to get all of them, like every single one, including the frog, then you know you'll end up winning for that round, I guess.
Love it. Yes.
Yeah. And so I really love the idea. I mean, I just love trick-taking games in general. Mm-hmm. In this game, you also get a little princess character, and each princess has a different ability. So you have these variable player powers. They're one-time use throughout each round, and they just kind of changed the game just enough to make it super interesting. For instance, you know, you can on your turn you can ask for a specific card, and if a player has it, then you can trade it for another card that you have in your hand. You know, there are other ones where, like, before a trick starts, you can choose to make it so that now the lowest numbered card of the lead suit will win rather than the highest numbered card. So just little things that you can do to change the game to try and make sure that you don't end up winning the princes, or you don't end up winning the frog prince, especially. Yeah, and so, like, there are a ton of different characters. There are so many. And then there also is the expansion that comes with I think 2 extra characters, as well as 2 promo characters you can get as well, that are really cool. And they all have their own thing, their own special thing that they do. Mm-hmm. I think though that I love the characters, I love the card play with the trick taking, but I think that my favorite part of this game is actually the round cards, which are there are 5 rounds in a game, and the rounds are essentially supposed to be like days. Like this is a 5-day long party that these princesses are throwing.
Yes.
And the princes are not allowed to come, so they have to sneak into the ball, by the way. They cannot just be played as a lead suit right away. You have to sneak them in a different trick first by not having...
I love that.
Yeah.
You're breaking the ice in that way.
Yeah, exactly. Because, otherwise you can just start with princes and start throwing them everywhere, right? But those are the bullets. You need to save... you can't just play the bullets.
Yes.
So the round cards are interesting because every round there's a new card that you flip. There are a ton of round cards it comes with. I think there's one for every letter of the alphabet, and then the expansion comes out with some other letters that are like from the Greek alphabet. And so you're choosing 5 of these, 4 of which are from the regular deck, and then 1 is for the last round. And these just change the rules ever so slightly for every round. So first it'll tell you whether you're passing cards one way or another to different players, and you can choose what card you either don't want in your hand or what card you really want someone else to have for some reason. But then it'll also change one little rule. So it can be that the pet cards, the animal cards, the green ones, might also score 1 proposal, meaning that you want to avoid not only the frog, but also every other green card in that round.
Sure. And
so that'll change after that round. There are other ones where, like the fairy cards, the fairies are another suit. If every fairy card that you win is -1 proposal, so it can counteract the princes that you're winning. So it just like adds a little element to the game that makes it just slightly different from any other trick-taking game. And it makes it, you really have to think of what cards are the right cards to play at what points.
Sure.
And as someone who has played a lot of trick-taking games, I really like that aspect because it's not just you're not just bidding on, I'm going to win this much or I want to win everything. It's like you almost want to lose everything most of the time,
Yes.
Yeah.
You want to stay single, right? That's the whole point.
Exactly. Yeah. You can have your animal friends, you can have your fairies and your queens, but you don't want any princes and you want to just remain independent forever.
Yes.
So I will say for this, I love the game. Like I said, I play a lot of trick-taking games. We love playing Lord of the Rings trick-taking game, like the Fellowship of the Ring, which we also got at PAX last year, PAX Unplugged. I love playing Sail, which is a 2-player trick-taking game co-op as well. Fox in the Forest and Fox in the Forest Duet are also really fun. Yes. Skull King's a really good one. So like I've played a lot of trick-taking games. Cat in the Box is another one.
Yes.
So, and they all have their little elements that make them a little different from each other. I think that this one is the one that I would say is an amazing trick-taking game if you've played trick-taking games before. I would not recommend this as a first-time trick-taker.
Not a gateway game.
Yeah, I think that, it can be, I guess, like if people are just, really into learning rules and the idea that, but I think the fact that there are just so many differences between this game and a typical trick-taking game, just because of all these extra rules, the player powers, the changing things up every round. I think that there are other trick-taking games that are a better kind of gateway trick-taker, like Fox in the Forest or Skull King, where you're bidding for Skull King, you're bidding on how many tricks you think you're going to win, or and trying to match that exactly. Or in Fox in the Forest, you want to win just enough, but not too much because you don't want to give more points to your opponent. I think those are great to start with. And then once you're comfortable with those, then this is like the magic that you can experience in trick-taking. It's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's excellent. I think it's certainly one of those games, I guess, thematically that turns those fairy tales on top of their heads. And then, like you said, it provides that kind of familiar trick-taking kind of experience with hearts, but then it also offers twist throughout the game, which is a lot of fun. And I think the thing that initially had drawn me to this is I love the artwork here.
Yes, the artwork is beautiful.
Yeah, it's so captivating and dynamic, and I think it's so much fun. And I think whenever I show this game around, they're like, I just want to play that. I'm like, have you ever played a trick-taking game? They're like, yeah. I'm like, good, done. We'll play this.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not the same thing that and again, you have different experiences every time you play because of all the different cards that come into play. And then obviously the different promos and then the expansion that comes into play. So I really think it's nice and fresh as far as that's concerned. And Bezier Games did a good job kind of producing this game here in the US.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'm so glad they did. Because, I mean, I'm sure there's not a ton of things you have to be able to read, but there's enough with the player powers that if you were playing it in a language that you just didn't understand or weren't fluent in, or that not like the people playing with you were not fluent in, it would be very difficult to play it properly. So yeah, I'm very happy that it's available in the US. I strongly recommend the deluxe edition. It's really nice.
Very nice.
But any edition is good.
So you would give this, is this a buy for you, Erin?
I would say a buy as long as you, first of all, enjoy trick-taking games and have experienced trick-taking games before. If you are not so well-versed in trick-taking, maybe start with one that's a little bit simpler. Like Skull is a really good one for a large player count. Okay. Or Fox in the Forest works really well at 2 players. And Sail if you like co-op trick-taking games. So those are good ones to start with, although Sail is really difficult, so be careful because we've lost a lot with that one. But yeah, definitely if you know you like trick-taking and you enjoy it and you want something that's going to, turn it into something new and exciting, then I think this is definitely a buy.
Wonderful. Excellent. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan as well. So yeah, pick up Rebel Princess and the expansion Happily Never After.
Yes.
All right. Well, that leads us on to our feature review. So our feature review this week, of course, is Voice of the Gamers, all our friends out there. And we'd like to get them out there talking about their favorite games so that they can let you know what games you should be playing and why. Erin, for this week's episode, you'll be talking about your favorite female design games. And you got some special caveats here. You've actually these are just not personal. These are practical applications that you've actually brought out to different communities and actually tested it out there in the field.
Yeah, so these are games specifically that are designed by women, but that are also we love to donate to different communities. So a lot of these games are very accessible. They're easy to learn. They're easy to play quickly, kind of to jump into without too much rules learning. Some people are a little hesitant when they haven't played a lot of games. The thing that kind of ends up blocking them from really jumping into it is the fact that they have to learn so many rules. So I tried to stick with a list of 10 games that are female designed or that have female designers within the group of designers. Sometimes there are multiple. And ones that just work really well as games to donate, games to give as gifts to people who are maybe not huge gamers or that are don't love learning rules. So yeah, these are ones that I definitely recommend, even for like family game night when you have family members who are not so into games, just to bring to holidays or to whatever it is you're doing. So I mean, I think
I agree, because again, I think that's the hardest thing about tabletop gaming that we all deal with as a community is we love tabletop games and we want more people to play tabletop games, and we have this bias that, again, everyone would love Brass if they just played it for the first time since Monopoly. But really, the real challenge is, can I get a game that I like, but also would be an actual excellent gateway game, or like you said, a gift that they would actually play? Or I'm going to a game night and I don't know who's going to be there or what their level is as far as game experience is concerned, or cognitive load, how many things can they manage? So this is a really important list, because I don't think a lot of people get that kind of like sample size of all these different groups. Yeah,
definitely. And I think like even with these games, these are games that I'm recommending because of their simplicity, because of their accessibility, but not necessarily because I love them personally. I actually haven't played all of these personally either. But I know enough about them and how they work and the rules that they have that I know that they work really well, and we've donated them and we've seen the benefits for people who are playing these games.
Very cool.
Yeah, but I'll say when I get to a game that I'm personally maybe not so much of a fan of, but that there are reasons for me to recommend it anyway, if that makes sense.
No,
in this category.
No, it's wonderful information from Board Games for the Better that, these are the games that like definitely should check out or donate or gift.
Yeah, and especially if you're looking to donate games, whether it's just for any reason, or if it's during the holidays, or it's for an event that you want to do, like a game drive, and you're looking, even if it's not donating to us, you can donate these to any board game based or even toy based organization. I think these make really good these are good options that you can find pretty easily for the most part. Yeah.
All right, Erin. So let's start off with your number 10.
Yeah. So I quickly want to, maybe just before I get to number 10, just want to mention two games that I'm not including on the list.
Ooh.
But that are kind of honorable mentions. And I feel like one is, I don't want anyone to be like, wait, where's Wingspan on this list? Wingspan should be there. It's designed by a woman. Everyone loves Wingspan. It's a great gateway
Hargrave,
game.
Yeah.
Yes, and it is great. I do have another Elizabeth Hargrave game on the list, but yes, I wanted to mention Wingspan is a great game. It is a game that we actually have not donated yet, so it could not really be on this list.
Yes.
And the reason we haven't donated is not because of the game itself, but rather because we don't actually get a lot of donations of, or any donations of Wingspan. I think because it's so loved, people keep the game and are not looking to find it a new home. So it is an excellent game. So I just wanted to put that out there so everyone knows I like it. I own it.
Yes. Same.
Yeah. Another game that I thought of putting on here, but that we actually haven't had the opportunity to donate either, but that I've given as a gift to new parents, or to, like, not necessarily new parents, but, like, you know, parents of kids who are 2 years old or so, is Orchard and First Orchard. So these are Haba games. They're designed by Annalise Farkachowski, and it is so designed by a woman. And they are just an excellent kind of first introduction to gaming for kids. So this is a young kid game. It's a cooperative game where you're rolling dice to collect fruit before this insatiable raven steals them. So one side of the die, I think, has a raven on it, and he will steal the fruit that you're collecting as you go. And you're trying to work hard to collect all the fruit before he eats it. So that one is maybe not so much of a recommendation for you to go and purchase for yourself as an adult game group, but if you do know someone who has a young child and they're looking for a way to introduce gaming, or you're the aunt and uncle, or that wants to introduce gaming to your niece or nephew, this is a good first game to give as a gift.
Nice.
But we haven't donated any copies, so it's not on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get the caveats. It's all good.
Yeah. So my number 10 is related to Orchard because it's another Haba game, and it's called Magic Feathers. This is a game designed by Stephanie Schutz. It's a matching dexterity game, kind of. It's not dexterity with your hands, though. What you're doing is you are blowing feathers and trying to get them to land on these tiles that match. So again, for young children or families, so another recommendation for if you're giving a gift to young kids. This is good, I would say, probably for 3 years old and up, maybe 4 years old and up, depending on if they like to eat feathers, I guess. But I definitely recommend it as just this kind of cute, very easy, you blow a feather, try to land it where you want it to land, and then the next person can try. You can play this as a cooperative game. You can play it as a counter-operative game, depending on what you're trying to teach these kids or what the parents want to do. But I think there's a lot of flexibility, and it is a game that we have donated to many programs that have young children. Haba games in general just work really well, and this one is also designed by a woman, so it's on this list as number 10.
Excellent. And it's really colorful and bright, and like you said, there's actual, there's synthetic feathers, but there's actual feathers that you're blowing around, and the production, again, Haba does just an amazing job with this. So, and it's so hard to get games for young kids, the preschool kind of era, because they're not really, it's very difficult for them to grasp any rules whatsoever on a good day.
Yeah.
So, but this is really nice because you have the animals out there, which they do recognize because, again, there's so much animal, education for kids. And then the feathers blowing is obviously something that they can do.
And they get excited about it too. I will say one thing with young kids is when they blow, they don't really know how to blow air without blowing spit.
Aww. So that's a Yeah, we'll worry about that too.
Yeah, so that's one thing to maybe just think about. You know, if you've seen a kid at their birthday party blowing onto the cake, and then maybe you're like, never mind, I'm full, thank you. So the feathers, you know, might only last so long, but you can always buy new ones if you need to from just any store that sells art supplies. You'll find something like that.
Very smart idea, though. I give it to them.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I guess I'll move to number 9.
Yeah.
Number 9 is Point Salad. This is a game that is designed by Molly Johnson as well as Robert Melvin and Sean Stankovic, and it is a very fast card drafting game, kind of like Sushi Go in a way, but with just many different ways to score points. I think there's over 100 ways to score points in this game. And, you know, there are different scoring methods depending on the cards. This is a game that I personally actually haven't played. I've wanted to play it, though, because I do enjoy games like Sushi Go. But it is a game that we have donated quite a few copies out. And it has always been a hit for people. They enjoy it. I mean, I think there's a simplicity with card drafting where the explanation of the rules is being something like pick a card, pass all the cards. You know, like that idea of just drafting is very easy to catch on to, at least as a mechanic. Now, whether you're going to win or not, or whether you're going to get a lot of points or not, is dependent on your understanding of all the, you know, nuances and the different scoring methods. But there are so many that you're guaranteed to get some, and you can focus on whichever ones are making sense to you at the time. So it's just it's a fun, fast card game, and I think the drafting aspect really helps with the simplicity and the accessibility.
Yeah, no, this is a game we play a lot, and we get a lot of people who are, you know, kind of gateway gamers at game nights, and this is so fun because it's an inside joke, right? A point salad game is you score off everything you do, you score points off, and then you're just like, and they don't. Someone who's a gateway gamer is not necessarily getting the joke, but you get the joke throughout the game, and then And then you don't have to worry or like really hardcore manage their strategy because it's just like, you will score points off vegetables. This side of the card has scoring on it, and they can do whatever they want and it's going to score points. So it's a really good, friendly way to introduce someone into a game without that kind of like, I did something wrong and therefore I lose. It's like,
exactly. Yeah.
There's no way to kind of plan out a win necessarily because everyone's pulling different vegetables and everyone has different scoring cards. So it's just like, I did a thing. I scored these points. Good? You're like, yeah, good. You're like, cool.
And I think there's like a really, for people who are jumping into a game the first time, we've found it, especially at events that we've done with a mix of children and adults. With kids, you don't get this, usually, not always, but you don't usually get the same fear that you actually get with adults. Adults are afraid to fail. They're afraid to lose. True. They're afraid to, they say things like, I'm going to ruin the game, or I'm not going to do it right. And the thing I like about Point Salad and just Point Salad games in general for this is that people feel good when they get points, you know, and with a game that you are guaranteed to get points essentially is a really nice way to bring people in and for them to feel good. Even if they don't win, they still see that they got all these points, you know?
They do. And it's another great game because all of the information is out there on the table. There's no hidden information. So everyone knows what everyone else is doing. So there's not that extra layer of kind of like, I'm not sure where I'm at or how I'm doing. And you could also direct people like, oh, don't forget, you could flip that card over once around if you want to do something like that. So it's great. Excellent game.
Great. So that's Point Salad, number 9. And now moving on to number 8 is another card game, Tussie Mussy by Elizabeth Hargrave.
I know her.
Yes. So Tussie Mussy, the thing that I really like about it is when we're donating games, a lot of the time we have to take into consideration the space that people have. So when we're donating a game to people who are dealing with housing insecurity, or people who are in a shelter, or people who, or even organizations that have a very small space, very limited space, we have to take into account how much space they have to hold games. Games take up a lot of space. I know because my bedroom is full of games right now.
I don't know what you're talking about, Erin.
And my other closet.
That sounds crazy. Who would do that, Erin?
No
don't
one.
look behind me. You don't see anything behind us. That's nothing.
So having a game like Tussie where it's made up only of 18 cards is this really fun, fun game that fits into such a small space. They are wallet versions of this where they're just kind of like the folded wallet style. And then there's the box as well, which is quite nice, but a little bit bigger, but it still takes up a very small amount of space compared to other games. So that's one thing that I really like about Tussie Mussy. But in terms of game design, what I really like about it is the I divide, you choose aspect.
Sure.
Chris, I don't know if you've played Tussie Mussy before or not.
I haven't. Anthony's a big fan of all of these kind of button shy games.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't played one of them yet, unfortunately.
So, I mean, the general idea with Tussie Mussy is you have, when you're the active player, you'll draw 2 cards, and you look at both cards, and you're choosing one to put face up and the other to put face down on the table. And whatever you put down, your opponent will choose a card first. So do they choose the one that they can see that shows what their scoring would be with that card or what the effect of that card is? Mm-hmm. Or do they choose the one that's face down that they cannot see because they think you're hiding something better? Or, is someone playing mind games with you? So it's kind of like this bluffing idea also, with this I divide, you choose aspect with one card face up, one card face down. And I like there are other games that do this really well. But I like that this one, I love the theme too with the flowers. It's beautiful. And it's fast. And it's just like that nerve-wracking moment where you put those cards down and you're like, I really want them to choose this one and not the other one. Like, please. Like, maybe they'll be tempted because the one face up is not that good and they think the face down one might be better,
That's true.
So yeah, I feel like it's really fast. It's fun. It is nerve-wracking, but in a good way,
It's nice when those little games pack a punch. People are like, oh, that's it? And you're like, wait till you see. And then they're just like, oh no.
Yeah, and it's like the doing that with just the 18 cards is like this. I think it's really cool. And I think there's an expansion to it as well, possibly. So there are other things you can add to it. I think the box version comes with maybe more cards. But I think that just the base game is really cool and just a fun game to play. I think once you know the cards really well, it gets maybe even more fun because you know what you're waiting for. Maybe for some people it gets more boring because they know all the cards. But I think that there's just something like, well, if you're putting that face up, maybe the other one is this one, and I really want that card or whatever it is. Anyway, so I really love donating this. I think it's easy to jump into. I think that I like that it takes up very little space, and it's designed by another woman, Elizabeth Hargrave, who we all know and love.
Yeah, it has amazing artwork too, and one of my favorite artists, Beth Sobel.
Yes, Beth Sobel.
I love her artwork in all of her games that she's done, and she works with Elizabeth Hargrave a lot, obviously on Wingspan, but other games as well too. So, Arboretum, she's an amazing artist. I have like a ton of her games just because like her art's on it. I'm just like, done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because sometimes, I mean, I know people say like game design is more like, the art is nothing, or no, for me, art makes a big difference too, though. 100%. I mean, yes, a well-designed game, will have a lot of like, I will be drawn to it once I've played it, but a well-designed art for a game will draw me in before I've played the game,
Yes. And it's educational too. It lends that thematic element to it so that the art kind of is informative, directive, and it envelops you into that kind of sphere of like, I'm in this world, and if I feel like more connected to the world because of the artwork, then I'm a better player. I can focus better on the game.
Yeah.
Just don't tell the 18 double X people that they want spreadsheets. So I don't understand. But Beth Sobel, she's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So that was number 8, Tussie Mussy. Definitely a good one.
Excellent.
Number 7, I have a game that I have only played, I believe, once. It is, I'll give you the caveat first, I guess. It's not necessarily my favorite game to play personally.
Sure.
But it is a very easy game to learn and to introduce to new people, and this is Flux.
Yes.
Flux is designed by Kristen Looney and Andrew Looney.
The Loonies.
Yes, the Loonies. It is a chaotic game, but it's very accessible. And the rules are just constantly changing. That's where you get that chaos.
Yes.
It is definitely different every time you play it. There are many, many different iterations of Flux. There are a lot of different themes. There are, there's the one for, more Halloween-y, like Monster Flux, and then there's the Star Trek Flux, and they're like so many IPs have a Flux, or so many Fluxes have different IPs. And I think that it is a game that works really well for groups of kids to play together, or a family to play together, where they want that ever-changing game, and that game where you can call people out on things, and you can be like, well, you didn't do this, and that was part of the rules. And so I think that there is a fun that can be had with Flux, definitely. Yes. And I think a lot of the communities that we are helping benefit from this kind of game, because it's something where you have to be constantly engaged with what's happening in the game, because things change so much. And it really gets people to focus on this experience they're sharing with people, rather than maybe getting distracted by other things along the way. So we love donating Flux. We got a few copies of Spanish Flux that we have given out to different communities where there's a large Spanish-speaking community. And they have been really thankful for that, because not a lot of games that are donated to us are in multiple languages. Most of them are just English. So to have... Yeah. Yes, definitely. So if you ever have any copies of a Spanish game you're looking to donate, feel free to reach out, because we will definitely be able to find them a new home. But with so it's just been nice to be able to donate all these different versions of Flux to different communities based on their themes or based on the language. And I don't know. Have you played Flux before, Chris?
I have. It's such an interesting game. I think you owe it to yourself to play Flux at least once. And again, you mentioned the Loonies. It comes from Looney Lab Games, and this is kind of their kind of vision of tabletop gaming, which is you get a hand of cards, and it's a very simple win mechanic. Typically, I'll say, like, you have to have 2 cards that match the goal.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the game is you keep trying to get the cards that match that goal, but you and other players can change that goal and then add rules, as you were saying, which then just blows the game up, right? Like, It's just like, okay, so that's a thing, and now this is a thing, and that's a thing, and now you draw 5 cards, but you have to discard 2 cards, and these things are important. Now those things don't matter, and switch cards around, and you're just like... And again, it's a very interesting game experience. And like you said, there's over like 30 versions of Flux. I own a couple because they become so fun and collectible because of the IPs. So
there's so many IPs too.
Oh, so many great. I mean, Mighty Python, Starflux, Firefox, Cthulhu, Doctor Who, Zombie, Batman, Marvel, Oz. I mean, it goes on and on. There's just a lot. So
many.
And again, it's one of those games, like, it's a game experience. You have no control if you're going to win or lose. You just do things and you see what happens, and you get to see the funny artwork. It's one of those rare games that's actually funny that's out there.
Yeah, that's true. And I think the lack of control is maybe the reason that I don't personally tend to enjoy playing it as much. Yeah. But I do think that looking at it kind of from outside of my own experience and seeing it as a game itself, I do see like a lot of value in that kind of game, because it's like almost like the ease of understanding it or learning a game that you get with like party games, but Flux can be played with a smaller group of people or with a larger group too. I'm not sure what how many players can play.
I guess it depends on the specific Flux game itself. Yeah. I mean, typically 2 to 6. Yeah. But I mean, that's a pretty large player count for Flux. Yeah. And so if you're playing with a large player understand that it's going to change constantly. So
much more chaotic.
Enjoy the game. Do not try to win the game. If you win the game, enjoy that.
Good.
But also, you had nothing to do with it. So just go along and have fun.
It just happens that way.
Yeah. It's better at a 3-player count.
Yeah, which is how I played it.
Yeah. That's the best way. But again, you can play with a lot of players and just enjoy the chaos of it all, which is fun. And it's a brilliant game design as far as like changing the goals and changing the rules. And yet winning the game is relatively easy because you just need those 2 cards. Yeah,
exactly. So I think, it ends up being just a good game for us to donate. Another game also that doesn't take up a lot of space.
Excellent.
Yes. So that was number 7, Flux. We're moving on to number 6, which I have a game that is actually quite well known, but maybe the designer is a little less well known. The game is Jenga. Jenga was designed by a woman, from the UK, I believe. And of course, we all know Jenga. So many people own Jenga. It is one of the games we get requested more than any. I think it might be the game we get requested more than any other game by people because they know it and they have enjoyed playing it before. So when we're at like a gifting event where we're giving out games to a community, oftentimes people will ask us, "Do you have Jenga?" or some Jenga equivalent, because there are so many off-brand Jengas now. But they will often ask us about Jenga or about whether we have any. And it's always fun to tell them, did you know Jenga was designed by a woman? That was designed by Leslie Scott.
Yeah, I'm flipping through BGG and I'm seeing, obviously, and again, I don't know the details, Hasbro owns Jenga, I guess the design of Jenga.
Mm-hmm.
And what Hasbro tends to do is release games from Hasbro. And they don't do what designer hobby board games that you and I generally play, Erin, which is they don't list a designer. And I think that's a terrible thing, because she deserves the credit for creating one of the most dynamic, interesting, well-loved board games out there of all time. I mean, you thought those games were done? No, Jenga.
Yeah.
So I'm really sorry that her name is not on the box as far as I keep seeing here. Which is
I know that it is definitely on Board Game Geek. You can see her name there.
Is.
And there's a whole page for her, I believe. I mean, there's definitely a Wikipedia page somewhere. But,
yes.
But yeah, it's that, like, she is the one who had the original idea, and she probably sold it to who knows where, when, and then eventually now Hasbro has it and continues to produce it. But yeah, originally designed by a woman.
Excellent. It's again another genius design that seems so simple, but it's so complicated that we just it shows simplicity because of the geniusness behind it.
Yeah, exactly. The simplicity, and I think there's something about dexterity games.
Yes.
Especially for us to donate. Dexterity games are one of the, I think, most fun games to introduce to people and get them into gaming, because for the most part, of course, there are people who have disabilities that may not be able to have access. It's not necessarily accessible for everyone. But for the most part, the general public will understand the idea of trying to pull a piece out of somewhere carefully so that the rest of it does not fall. Because even in our everyday life, we're trying to, I have my dish rack over here and there are a ton of dishes. I don't want to put them all away. I want that one dish that's underneath the others, and I don't want the others to fall. So even in our everyday life, we deal with things like Jenga, and I think a lot of people refer to Jenga too. And so I think, and there's so many different ways to have Jenga at events too. I mean, we can give out copies. People can bring them home and play their typical copy of Jenga. They also have jumbo, Jenga, extra large Jengas available that are good for playing outside, and just getting people to come and see what's going on. And maybe by seeing something like Jenga that they are aware of and it's familiar to them, it encourages them to come and participate in other games that are new to them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So dexterity games in general are great, and Jenga, like you said, the simplicity of it and the familiarity people have with it it makes it such a good game for us to donate out.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's number 6, Jenga. Number 5 is slightly related. It's another dexterity game. This is a game called Suspend. There is no designer listed, but it is published or it was made by Melissa and Doug, a toy company that is founded by a husband and wife team. And this is a game that we have brought to pretty much every game day event that we've done because of its simplicity and its table presence and the fun that people have with this game. So Suspend is made up of these like rods of metal that are connected to this wooden block that has legs, it's very basic. If you look up a picture of it, you'll be like, what is this? And it has these other rods of metal that have little rubber on the ends to make them safer, that have a little like indents in the metal to be able to hang on this frame. And so the point of the game is to roll a die, and you see a color come up, and the different rubber ends of these pieces are different colors. So you find the color that matches the one you just rolled, and you put one of those pieces onto this structure. You're hanging it, or you're, suspending it on the structure. Yes. And as you go, you're building this with, you go around the table, everyone gets to add their different pieces, and you can choose where you want to add it on, all the while making sure that it doesn't fall off and that the pieces don't touch the table. There are the thing that I like about this game is that the rules that are set with the game are not necessarily the rules you need to play with. There are so many ways you can play this game. I think, if I understand correctly, the point of the game is to be the first to get rid of like all your pieces, essentially, kind of thing. So if you ever cause pieces to fall, you have to collect those, and you need to now add those onto the structure down the line.
They've been Jenga'd.
Yeah, essentially. But what I like is that we use this more often as a co-op game where we're trying to get as many pieces on the structure as possible altogether. So you're not necessarily trying to sabotage someone else, but you're trying to make it so that you can get all the pieces on there. And it has happened a few times, and people, the joy and the like elated feeling that they get, it's just so nice to see for people who were already maybe like nervous to even join in at all. You see families come up and they're like, I don't know, I'm not going to do it right, I'm going to mess it up. And then they play it and they're like, wow, this is amazing. There's that just fascination with just watching people experience this game. And it's so simple. It's metal pieces that you're hanging on other metal pieces, but it's kind of the reverse Jenga where you're building something rather than pulling pieces out, you're adding pieces on. Sure. And the versatility, the flexibility with the rules that you can play with are really great. And it's just, people see it and they're like, what is that? So it draws people in, it makes them interested in trying new things, and then they have fun. And so we love to donate it. We love to play it at game days. It's a great game. Try it out.
Excellent. Yeah, I haven't played this yet, so next time I come out, we'll have to play it.
Yeah, for sure. I think we have like 3 or 4 copies.
Nice.
Like that we keep in our own library, in addition to the ones we like to give out. Okay, so that was number 5. Moving on to number 4, another game that I love giving out. This is Cristallo. This was designed by Liberty Kiefer, who also did the art for the game.
Nice.
And it's a beautiful game. It is actually a solo game. It can also be played co-op, though. Okay. So it's a puzzly game where you are you're trying to rescue these creatures from an evil dragon. But the point of the game is you're trying to place these gems on these cards that you are stacking or that you're kind of overlapping one another with, to try and surround these different elements that are on the cards to try and free creatures of that color. It is a really cool puzzle game. It's not easy. I've played it a few times either by myself or with my husband, and it's really fun and really interesting. And I love the reason I love giving this game out is because it can be played as a one-player game, and so many people have never heard of a game being one player other than maybe solitaire.
Sure.
So solo games are just not super well known, and people think like, well, why would I want to do a solo game? Why would I want to play by myself? Board games are meant to play with other people, and some people feel that way, and that's fine, But if you think about other things, other puzzles, like crossword puzzles, like people do crossword puzzles all the time. People do their Wordle by themselves all the time. There are a ton of puzzles that you can do on your own, or even just a puzzle, putting together like a typical 1,000-piece puzzle, whatever. People do that as a hobby, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is just another way to do that. You're puzzling out a game on your own. But what I like about this is it can also be a co-op game. It can also be something that you're working on together as a pair or a group of people, and it is pretty. It draws people in. It can all fit into a little bag, the drawstring bag, so easy to transfer to transport with yourself or going somewhere. And it's designed by a woman, and the art is by the same woman, and it's just a really fun game. We're so happy to have been donated so many copies by Friendly Skeleton Games.
Nice. They
are so generous, and so we've been able to include copies of Cristallo with pretty much every donation we have given out. and it's been a great one. I always recommend it to people if they tell me that they don't really have people to play games with when we're gifting things, and they're like, well, what am I going to do with a board game? I don't have a family member to play with or whatever it is. So it's nice to be able to say, here's a game that's actually designed to be played on your own, or if you have a friend that wants to play with you, you can do that too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I think that's a really important lesson, obviously, too, that we talked about, like the therapeutic and the social and the community benefits of tabletop gaming, but also there is self-care, and there's that meditative time that tabletop game as a solo player allows you to kind of focus and concentrate and bring the world down to like a smaller, manageable place. And as you mentioned, the artwork is beautiful, the production is gorgeous with these gems, and I think that's something obviously to kind of offer to other people as well. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's number 4, Cristello. Now moving on to the top 3. Okay, we're almost there. So the next one we have is a game we've donated many, many copies of, including, we talked about it earlier this episode. This is Her Story. Her Story is designed by Danielle Reynolds, Nick Bentley, and Emerson Matsuchi. It is a game that we were very, very grateful to have been donated many copies specifically for our event with the Girl Scouts we were talking about earlier.
Yes.
And this game is a set collection game, and it's celebrating these inspiring women from history. And there's just this really, I love the fact that it is educational while also being a fun game and an easy game to learn. So essentially what you're doing is you're trying to collect these different symbols to be able to publish pages of a book, or to print these pages of a book and the pages are about these strong and very important women in history. And so all throughout, you're building this book of about these women. And actually on the back of the cards that you're collecting, you can read about these people in history too. So it has that educational aspect to it, which makes it really good for us to donate to schools.
Yes.
A lot of schools have been able to use it in programs to help with different, just learning about different people in history, and not just the people that we're seeing in most of our history textbooks.
That's true. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really nice too, because it comes with this cloth mat, like a cloth play mat. And the cards are nice, and I feel like the punchboard pieces are also really good quality. And so we like to include copies of Her Story in pretty much all of our donations as well, as long as it's not just for, super young kids. I would say Her Story is probably more for maybe 8 and up, 8 or 10, depending on the person. But it works really well in high schools too. It works well in middle schools. It's really nice to give to people because we can say, like, it's a fun game. You can play this game and just enjoy it, and not even learn anything if you really don't want to, if that's not the point of gaming for you. But you have the option, and I think that it's really good to take up that opportunity to learn about people. So Her Story is definitely up there, and a game that we love to donate, and it celebrates women. It's designed in part by a woman, and highly recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. And a huge thanks to Underdog Games for, I believe, donating 90 copies of this that we were able to pass along. And as you mentioned, Erin, like, I've played this game. We've reviewed this game. Anthony, Will, a lot of us has played this game. And I really enjoy it a lot because I love the tableau building in the game. So to be able to utilize, I think there's so many wonderful women in their history, but also to be able to utilize as a game mechanic that they're providing support on your research and your development. So as you're completing, again, the technical term, like completing contracts, as you're able to research these women and put them in your tableau, they give you a benefit for further research so that you'll be able to build more of these leaders around the world, and leaders in all different kind of aspects, from arts to humanities to law to science to politics. And by the end of the game, one of the most satisfying things for me is, like, I have a finished tableau. Like, I built this thing, and here you built a book, and the book tells a story throughout history and all the different things you're able to do. But also, again, it's able to provide you with all those benefits throughout. So this is a really wonderful game for gateway gamers who might want to get into, like you said, set collection, tableau building, resource building, open drafting because there's like a marketplace you can purchase cards, and it has a lot of replayability. And again, the production is insane. Like the cost of this game is it's crazy because the game has such high production value, and it comes with a lot of extra cool stuff on top of which. So the bag is excellent, the components are great, bookmarks and cards and stickers. It's just there's a lot of great stuff here.
Yeah, it's great, and we love donating it. People get very excited.
It's a gift. It's a gift game, Erin, right? Like this is a game you give as a gift.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think especially when you're donating or when we're giving games to communities that are primarily women, it's really fun to see them light up, to see people that they see the representation in a game of people that look like them or people they've heard about or people that their mothers have told them about, or there's just something about seeing yourself in a game that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do, So definitely a good one.
Yeah. People from around the world. Is over 120 historic women featured, modern day too. So you'll probably recognize a lot of these people as well. And I think that's great. And all the different countries. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. So that's number 3, Her Story. Number 2, I have a game that I put at number 2 partially because I just love playing this game. Personally, nice. I think my husband and I have played this on Board Game Arena, I think like 300 times or something. Wow. This is Abandon All Artichokes. That's a great. Silly deck builder. It's actually not even deck builder. I would say it's more like a deck destroyer in a way. That's fine. Because the whole point is you're trying to compost your artichokes, abandoning all right? Abandon all artichokes. Yeah. This game is designed by Emma Larkins. And it's a very cute game. There are a bunch of different vegetables, and they all have different abilities. And a lot of them are trying to help you trash these artichokes. Some by trashing themselves, so it's called composting. So, like, let's say the carrot. The carrot, you compost it along with 2 artichokes that are in your hand. And then that's the end of your turn. There's no other action you can take. Whereas with all the other cards, as long like you can play as many as you have available to you that you are able to use. So you're just trying to get rid of artichokes, and at the end of your turn, you discard your hand like in a typical deck builder, and you draw up to 5. And if you ever draw a hand that contains no artichokes, you immediately win.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the whole point is to try and get it so that either you're trashing all of your artichokes to the point where you just don't draw them, or so I've seen certain people win by filling their deck with other vegetables so that it is so overly saturated with non-artichokes that you end up just drawing 5 that are not artichokes.
Smart.
Yeah. So, and you can do a mix of both. You can trash some and then also get a bunch of cards as well, and then or you get those cards to use them, and then anyway, it's a really fun game. It works really well at 2 players. It works really well at 3 and at 4 players. I love it. I think it's adorable. If you get it and you have access to the rhubarb promo, I highly recommend the rhubarb promo. It is a way to reset the shop. Otherwise, the only way to reset the shop, I think, is if you have 4 of the same vegetable show up of the 5 options. Okay. But with the rhubarb, you can trash or compost that rhubarb to reset the shop and try to find something that you're looking for. So if you have access to that, I recommend it. We don't have any to donate. We've donated well, because they're a little hard to find. I think we ended up finding our copy before we even started the charity. At I think a PAX Unplugged at some point. We ended up just kind of finding it by chance, or maybe they had them at the booth or something. But yeah, Abandon All Artichokes is super cute, super fun, and good at like as an adult, but also good for kids. We played with our nephews a couple weeks ago, and they really enjoyed it. So definitely recommend. Chris, you said you hadn't played this before, right?
I haven't played this before. I don't know why, to be honest with you, because it looks like a really fun game. I love the artwork here too.
Yeah.
And Bonnie Pang, the artist here, because it's so, again, like when you say like, oh, it's Abandon All Artichokes, like that's kind of funny. But it's a game about vegetables, and you look at the vegetables, and they're all like really adorable. Like they're so cute. And we haven't played. I have to play this now.
Yeah, I actually have it. I know on the podcast you can't see this, but I have it in the background in my little fruit bowl.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
But yeah, we have a fruit bowl of board game fruit So you have pears and pears, apple letters, bananagrams, and well, I guess artichokes are not a fruit, but abandoned artichokes is there too.
Gotcha.
And abandoned artichokes is in a little tin case as well. So that's the box it comes in, and it's in the shape of an artichoke, kind of.
That's great.
Cool. Yeah, it's a very cute one. I highly recommend it for anyone and everyone.
Excellent.
And so now we're finally getting up to number one. This is a game that I actually really enjoy playing also. It is Quirkle by Susan McKinley Ross. Yeah, Quirkle. It also won the Spiel des Jahres a few years ago, I think.
Yeah, way back in the day. The first female designer to win Spiel des Jahres, which is like the predominant, like it's the biggest board game award that you can win around the world, period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is an abstract game, and I love abstract games. So
yeah,
this is right up my alley. And I have taught this game at multiple game day events that we've done. And essentially it's like a color and shape, not quite matching like color and shape, but you are playing these colors and shapes in a way where either they are all the same color in a row or column, but all different shapes, or they're all the different colors of the same shape.
Yes.
And so those are the only ways that you can play these tiles. I love the quality of the tiles. They're like a wooden tile, and it comes with a bag that you can put everything into to make it a little more easy to transport with you if you want to, yes. Or you can keep it in the box. I've seen it stored both ways. And essentially you're getting points based on like wherever you're placing your piece and how many pieces it's touching within that line or that column. And it is just a really thinky, abstract game, but it's very easy to teach someone just because of the simplicity of the rules. Like you're taking a piece from your, whatever number you have. I think it's 5 or 6 options. Might be less. And then you're placing that piece. I should have looked it up beforehand, but you're placing that piece on the board. There's no board, but it's like on the table, in this kind of grid form in a sense. And in a place where it will work. So it has to match or, either the shape but not the color, or it has to match the color but not the shape of the other ones within that space.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think it's a really cool one to teach. It's fun to learn, it's fun to play. And we played it at another Girl Scout event with some of the girls, and I played with 2 girls, I think, for like a good hour long. We were playing because they just kept wanting to play it. Yeah, and I think at one point our game was interrupted because they were doing some sort of announcement to to everyone who was at this event. And so we had to leave the table, and when I went back to the table, they ran back immediately because we have to finish our game. So it was definitely well received, and one of the really good games out there that we love to donate. It's great.
It's wonderful. Yeah, it won the Spiel des Jahres in 2011. Officially came out in 2006. I'm not sure time-wise what that happened, but no, this is really a great game for gateway gamers, people who are not into traditional, designer tabletop games, because this is so recognizable, and it's like kind of Rummy Cube-ish, right? Like it's got that aspect to it where it's like numbers and colors and things that you're kind of putting together in rows,
but with shapes instead of numbers. Yeah,
exactly, which makes it even easier, to be honest. Yeah,
because you don't have to deal with the ordering of them. It doesn't have to be in a specific order like it does in Rummy Cube.
It's true, 100%. Well, Erin, this is a fantastic list. Again, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I think it's so very important to let everybody know about all of the wonderful accomplishments and designs and artistry and writing that female designers, artists, and again, writers and publishers have done to bring these wonderful games to the world. Because again, oftentimes we either don't see the name, don't think about the name, or the game is kind of washed away over time with, the kind of corporate sponsorship there. So it's good to know that, bring that back, and hopefully there'll be even more female designers, publishers, writers out there in the future, because we really have such a rich, wonderful history here. And obviously it brings more and more people to the table. So, Erin, again, thank you so much. boardgamesforthebetter.org. You can find their link in the show notes in case you have any more questions for Erin or Chris out there. And we'll be seeing a little more about Erin in the future.
Yeah, this is it. It was great. Thank you so much for having me. It was really fun to talk about these because I hadn't really had the chance to put them into a list before or anything, or really think about the specifics of why they work so well. And it was a nice exercise to do. So thank you.
100%. All right, everyone. Until next time, this is Chris.
And this is Erin.
And we'll save you all a seat at the table. Take care, everybody.
Hey there, Hugh from Podderation here, and if you like today's show, why not have a listen to the All Things Nintendo podcast? Hosted by Brian Shea, former director and Game Informer and lifelong games journalist, the show explores the ins and outs of gaming's oldest company and one of its biggest, featuring interviews, featuring reviews, featuring everything you want to know about the world of Nintendo. If you'd like to learn more, check out our website at podderation.com.